match what it's growing in. So I tried to kind of just find something that sort of felt close to what I'm seeing. Like most of the white, the really whitest stuff is up here in the front, and then the back is coming in pretty dark, but still has some kind of sprinkled throughout.
Is all the past color done in a salon?
No.
Okay.
So I haven't had it professionally done since before COVID, but I've just kind of been doing some stuff myself.
What have you done at home?
Just doing some highlights and then toning.
Oh, you did the highlights yourself?
Yeah, but I haven't done anything in a while.
Okay. Are we cutting your hair too?
We can if we need to. I'd like to keep a lot of the length. But again, like I haven't had a...
How much would you want to cut off?
I kind of leave it up to you. This kind of feels like these are a little scraggly.
Yeah. Just
so,
to like clean it up there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it grows fast. I'm not worried. You know, I'm not scared of cutting what needs to be cut.
Yeah. You have a lot of like a warmer brown tone in the back here. If we do a more blended route, you'll still see some warmth in between. That would take time for me to get out as you come in. But I would recommend, since it's pretty solid warm here, maybe we go a little bit more lighter than the photo, less dark in between, and then as that grows out, once we get rid of a lot of this warmth, we can start utilizing your natural as that dark in between, like the photo.
Okay.
But just starting off a little bit blonder than her, just because you have more of a solid tone here. And then we can definitely keep the front lighter like you have naturally here, so it grows out really pretty. And then I generally would suggest making the ends a little bit lighter as for the blend, and then making it look more diffused towards the root. Okay. And then for the tone, the silver toners, they fade extremely fast, so I always recommend doing a more violet tone. Would that bother you at all for the tone? Okay.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we have a new client who is wanting to kind of just get rid of some of that warmth that she's been doing at home and have something that's going to blend a lot softer with her natural gray roots. I was actually super surprised to hear her say that she's been doing her hair color at home, because honestly, for at-home color, this looks really good. And the fact that she would highlight her hair herself too, I was quite impressed with how even and everything looked. Like if she told me that she got this done at a salon, I would have totally believed her, because honestly, it looked great. Her hair felt great, and yeah, no complaints there. The only thing is that, yeah, it does look a lot warmer than her natural gray or her natural roots, where her virgin hair is. You can see there's about maybe like 3 or 4 inches of virgin natural regrowth. So she's kind of gone a little bit of a long time and let her roots grow out. And so today we want to try and create something that is just going to give her some blend. And I've already explained to her, because this back, in the back here, she has more dark than she does in the front. So when she was doing her at-home hair color at home, there is more of that warm, solid, almost like a coppery orange tone in the back here. And the front is more highlighted. So back here, I am going to really just utilize those slices to kind of just break this up as much as possible. I did a few weaves around the hairline, but right now I'm just trying to focus on taking the back in one section, like a center section. She does part to the side, so as I get closer towards the top of her head, I will be kind of shifting this center section a little bit closer to her side part. I'm not necessarily going to make her side part the middle, but I'm just going to slightly shift this center mohawk section to kind of fit her side part. And for these foils, I am doing slices because I want to try to get rid of a lot of this coppery tone that we're seeing. Now, if I see any highlights that might get mixed in with any of these slices, I'm definitely going to pick them out if they are about a level 8 and up. Anything below that, like a level 7 or even darker, I'm going to try and just keep that in the foil and make sure that I saturate. When you're doing any type of gray blending, the key to your transformation is saturation. And so you can tell I'm taking pretty thin sections, making sure that each foil where the hair is placed, the hair is pretty see-through. This is going to ensure the best lift, because if I grab a section that is too thick, sometimes the hair can lift a little bit unevenly because the lightener might not reach the other side on the underneath. So you want to make sure that the lightener is nice and fully saturated in your foil, and by doing that, it helps to take smaller sections. Now, I'm not taking sections that are too small to where it's kind of hard for me to grab her next following appointment, but these sections are thin enough to kind of where I can like read through them, but it's not too paper thin to where I can't re-pick it up. And in the front here, you can see I've kind of shifted the mohawk section a little bit closer according to her part. I did a few money piece foils since she has beautiful silver around her hairline, around her face, which I absolutely love. I opted to do more slices back to back with no negative space, meaning no dark hair in between. These foils are going to be back to back slices, and then I will start alternating and adding in a little bit of her natural depth into these slices and space them out a little bit further apart as I go from the front to the back. So essentially the front will look a little bit lighter as I space those foils out a little bit further apart, leaving more depth as I kind of reach the back of the mohawk. And I'm going to continue doing this on the side as well. So on the side, I'm connecting that front money piece right here around her face on the side. And right there, I'm kind of teaching my assistant that I want to make sure that, notice how when I did the front money piece above her forehead, I just took it right above her forehead. I didn't angle it like a diagonal back like some people might do with according to a client's hairline. Sometimes I do that, but on this client I didn't, because those hairs were nice and long. She didn't have too many baby hairs, so I knew they were going to catch into the foil. So when that happens, I was explaining to my assistant that if I'm going to take the hairline this way into 3 and not a diagonal back above the forehead, I want to make sure that there is some connection. Now when you're doing the side money piece and connecting it to the top part of your money piece where they part their hair, you want to make sure that these foils that are all around the hairline have some sort of connection. If there's ever a place, especially when you're doing slices, if there's ever a place where there isn't a foil or you leave a little bit too much hair, it might appear that you left too much depth, or there might be a little bit of a hole that you missed while highlighting. So whenever I highlight the hairline, I always make sure that I grab the hairs connecting to the foils that it's going to be laying next to, so that there isn't any gaps within my details around the hairline. So if they were to put their hair up, everything has a cohesive connection. And I follow that by doing a foil above the ear. So you can see that foil that I've already done above the ear connects the front money piece that is directed towards her face, and it connects that foil to that very first weave that I did in the back of the nape. Now when I'm done doing those parts, I'm going to continue doing my slicing pattern up the sides, and these I pretty much just do horizontal. You can do them diagonal back. I prefer doing it horizontal just so that it's a lot easier for me to pick up for next time. But regardless, I am using slices to kind of try and get rid of a lot of this copper out. Now, for future appointments when she comes in, depending on how long she goes for her appointment, I can alternate doing a weave or slice with this type of sectioning and placement. But as of today, since this is her first session with me, I am going to opt to do slices to kind of get the most out of each foil. So now I'm moving on to her teases. So her teases, I've had my assistant kind of separate the hair that's in between the foils. So all the depth that I left in between the foils are now neatly separated around the foils, and I'm going to over direct them towards the front of the face. I like to tease, weave, and paint at a diagonal, but over directed towards the front to kind of create this nice cohesive blend that where the front looks a little bit lighter and gets more dimensional and dips back as it goes towards the back of her head. So when her foils were ready, I knew they were ready because she had quite a bit of root that was virgin, and then she had that permanent color that was on the mid and maybe some old highlights that were on the ends. A lot of the more orangey darker parts were definitely in the back where I'm pulling out right now, but that virgin root is already ready because I used the same developer throughout the whole section in the foil. And so what I'm going to do, since the root is really ready and the ends aren't, is I'm going to rinse that root where it is ready. I'm going to leave the lightener on the ends and then just kind of wrap it in a towel and let the ends process for a few minutes more before rinsing it completely out. And that's going to ensure that the root to ends, the highlights look a little bit more even though we started off with a canvas that wasn't as even. So since she had some copper in the back and then she also had some highlights in the front, I made sure that my assistant and I are really just thoroughly checking each tip out that we do, because some of the tip outs are going to be over previous highlights. Some of the tip outs will be over areas that might be a level 8. Some of them might be a level 7. So you want to make sure that you really pay attention to which tip out is ready and just check each one if you are lightening different levels in the hair. Sometimes what I'll do too, if it gets a little bit too confusing, is you can change up the type of foils you use for certain tip outs that have different volumes that might be a little bit ready sooner than others. But generally she only had a few tip outs, so I used the same foils. But if a client had a ton of tip outs and it was really tedious to check every single one, I might do that if I had maybe different formulas, or it just kind of gives me a visual to which tip outs might be ready a little bit sooner if I mark them or use different foil patterns for them. So since our consultation, I let her know that a silver toner would wash out extremely fast, so we agreed to do something that is going to be a little bit more violet-y. So right now we're going to be doing a shadow root first. So for her shadow root formula, this has been my go-to lately. It's the Danger Jones gloss toners, and I love to mix up the 5-1 with the 6-01. Now, I used to use the 5-1 because my other go-to shadow root used to be 6T in shades EQ, but the equivalent that was going to be somewhat similar to that was going to be the 5-1 in Danger Jones, because they don't technically make a 6-1, even though I could have made it with mixing in 5-1 and 7-1. But I just love the depth that the 5-1 gave. And so the only thing with that one is sometimes it can go a little bit too purpley. And for her hair, she lifted really pretty. So we're going to go with a more light silver with hints of lilac to it. So I wanted something that wasn't going to be too purpley gray, and so I added in that 6-01 to kind of lighten up the 5-1 a little bit and just kind of make it a little bit more of that neutral there. And then for her end formula, I'm using the Danger Jones Artistic Toners. These are my favorite go-to silver toners. If you haven't tried them and you're interested in gray blending, I highly recommend checking them out. It's amazing and has such great pigment, and the best part is the fade. The fade, I never have any issues with it. It makes it so much easier to retouch a silver compared to some other silver toners, and I just absolutely love it. I use the silver and the violet blonde.
It's so pretty.
Looks good. Your hair still feels great too. So good.
Alrighty guys, so here is the finished look. I would say, considering how she came in, this came out really pretty. I mean, you can still see the little bits of warmth in there, but overall, we already know this is going to fade out a lot softer than what she came in with, and this will help her go a little bit longer before her next touch-up. I always suggest when a client comes in like this to kind of just wait as long as possible before they come see me if they don't want to be too blonde, because essentially the next appointment, what I do is I'm just going to be picking up more of those copper pieces that we left out as depth back and highlight that out, and eventually it will appear that most of it is pretty much all gone. But I do like having the client's natural hair as that natural depth instead of using a low light, because a low light fades, and when that fades, it's not always the best color, and then touching up that low light can be a little bit tricky, especially when you're starting off with a base color that is so warm like this. Alrighty guys, that is it for this week's episode. Thank you guys so much for watching and tuning in, and as always, I will talk to you guys next week.